Hi everyone, this is Niki Rowland and today I have a layout for Bella Boulevard. I am using the Bella Besties Hearts Ombre paper today, and my assignment was to use the Hearts Ombre, also use acrylics, and to use the Aria Puffy alphabet stickers. So I'm using all of those three things today. So I've chosen to scrapbook a layout or some photos of my little girl, who's not so little anymore because she's just turned 10. So these are photos from her 10th birthday, and she's posing with some balloons. This layout had to be pink because she's very pink. So I chose 3 colours of pink from the Hearts Ombre collection. So I've gone for Cotton Candy, Peep and Punch. So the lightest one is the Cotton Candy, and then the middle one is called Peep, and the darker one is called Punch. So I chose those 3 colours to work with today. And then I also chose the white Hearts Ombre for my background. So I went for the ombre side for my background. So it's really white at the top and it goes down into a grey towards the bottom. So as we are celebrating a birthday, I thought I would go for a large rosette. I love rosettes. They always kind of remind me of like fireworks. So I thought I would make a large rosette. I love these. I've made a few of them before. My first giant one was back in like October time last year, but I did real autumnal colours. So I thought I would go for pink and pretty today to have something a little bit different. So what I've done is I have cut a piece of those 3 papers heart side up to 4.5 inches by 12, and then I have concertinaed them half inches the whole way along, and then I have folded them backwards and forwards like a concertina. I've just glued the 3 pieces together using my hot glue gun, and then I'm going to do the same with the other end as well. So I have this like big circle. You can see that it's like really kind of floppy and doesn't look anything like a rosette at the moment, but in a moment the magic will happen, and I'll be able to squish it all together. Here we go, and it will magically turn into a rosette. So there we go. Doesn't it look awesome? Oh, and it's just popped up. They do that. I just before I stick it onto the layout, I've decided that I'm going to put a white circle. So I just punched a white circle from cardstock, and I've just used my hot glue gun to glue that in place. So that's the other side, that's the back, that's the ombre side. So I'm just holding that in place for a moment or two to make sure that it is fully stuck. The glue from the glue gun has cooled down enough, and it's completely stuck. So yeah, and there we go. There is my my rosette. I always love what these look like. They're so awesome. So I'm now going to arrange the rest of my layout. I've got the some acrylic shapes that I've pulled out. So I've got one that says hip hip hooray, one says fabulous, and one says wish big. They just happen to be in the 3 shades of the colours that I'm using, so that is awesome. I'm just getting my rosette stuck onto my background now so that I can then start adding the rest of the things onto my layout. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. I'm just making sure my rosette is fully stuck. I'm using my glue gun to again stick that down. I'd already put some glue on the back before I stuck down, but some of the edges were still not quite stuck, so just a bit more glue there. That's the real thing with these kind of rosettes, is that I always worry that they'll just ping apart at some point. So lots and lots of glue is definitely the answer to make sure that they are stuck down onto whatever surface they're being stuck onto. Okay, so I've got my 2 photos. I want one to be covering up the hole in the middle of the rosette. I wasn't sure whether I should have my photos completely central, so I decided to have them over on the left-hand side with my acrylic words on the right. Now, for hip hip hooray, I've used my hot glue gun to stick that down, which is obviously the quickest and most easiest way of doing it. However, the hot glue, leaves trails and kind of is a bit not particularly well controlled. It's not very controllable. So I ended up with lots of glue like smudging it off the sides. I didn't really like the look. So for the other 2, I've used my glossy accents, which is definitely not as quick drying and not as good as a hold. but it's going to have to do. But it does mean that I get a cleaner stick and you can't see all those excess bits of glue. So that was definitely worthwhile. Now, I had this idea to create a border around the outside of my my big rosette with the Aria alphabet stickers. However, I was just concerned they were just a little bit too big. The 10 extends quite a lot above where I want it. So instead of doing that, I'm going to use the Florence alphas to go around the outside instead. And I'm just going to add the word 10 to the rosette itself using the Aria stickers. So again, I'm going kind of colour on colour. I've got the light pink, the cotton candy colour, Aria on the cotton candy Hearts and Ombre part of the rosette, and then same for Peep and same for Punch. So and then they're not going to stick down particularly well, those those Aria stickers, because it's the really super bumpy surface. So I'm just going to add some extra glue, so probably glossy accents to keep those in place. So here I am going ahead with the border around the outside, which is how I had envisaged doing this layout. But it didn't really work with Aria, so I'm going to go with Florence instead. So I've got the word 10 separated with a little heart, and then the number 10, then a heart separator again, then the number 10. I'm just going to keep going around and go all the way around the edge of the layout, and I'm going to change colours according to where the rosette moves into the next colour as well. So I'm just going to keep going. I'm not going to make you watch me do all of this. I'm going to turn off in a moment and skip forward. There we go. And now you can see that I have all of those around the edge. It looks awesome. I've also added a machine stitch border around the edge of the paper as well, just to give it a little bit of texture and border. Normally I do like a border on my layouts, so I did consider putting a pink border around the outside of this layout, but it just looked a bit too much. So I've decided to try something else and create these strips at the top and the bottom, but very subtle. So I've cut a strip of cotton candy to go at the top and a strip of the darker colour punch to go at the bottom. I wanted to make sure that my hearts were the right way around, and full hearts as well, rather than like half a heart. So I've just made some little strips. They're about 3/4 of an inch, and I have just stuck them onto the back of the layout. But I've kept my adhesive away from the edge, and now I'll be able to fold up the front of the layout to reveal some of the pink and hearts below. So I'm just going to do that now. So just going to fold that up now. There we go. You can see that I then end up with this subtle amount of pink on those two borders. I could have done both sides as well, but I just decided that the top and the bottom were enough. It was just because I felt like it needed a little bit of colour without going overboard. Because obviously the layout is quite busy already. Sorry, my little boy has joined us. He's very interested in everything that I'm doing. He's making the camera shake and everything. He particularly liked this rosette, and he liked putting his finger in the middle. Okay, so I've moved on from that now, and I've got my photos stuck in place, and I'm now thinking about what else I can put onto the layout. So I have this damaged area on my photo, on my left photo. I use a selfie printer, and sometimes if a bit of dust or a hair or something gets into or onto the paper, when it prints, you get these like brightly coloured areas where the printing hasn't worked properly. And I had that on this corner of the black and white photo. It was like purple and pink. So I needed to cover up that bit. So I have punched some large hearts from the same pattern papers. So cotton candy, Peep and Punch, all from the same Hearts and Ombre. And I've gone with the heart side again for these heart punches. I've cut 3 in the cotton candy colour, and one of those is going to go over the top of my photo where that damaged area is. So I'm just distressing the edges to make them stand out slightly. Because they are the same colour on colour, they kind of blend in a bit. So having the edges distressed gives a bit of separation between the heart shape and the background that it's about to sit on. So I'm just doing that for all of them. I'm also folding them in half a bit so that the both sides of the heart kind of fold up, kind of like wings, I guess. Not that hearts fly, but you know what I mean. So just to give them some dimension, really. I'm going to try and stick those on in just a moment. So I'm just trying to arrange them and figure out exactly where I want them. I obviously want them in the same areas of colour on the layout. So the cotton candy on the cotton candy area, etc. Just because I'm obviously going colour on colour again, as I quite often do. I also punched some smaller hearts from the same papers again, these are quite little, and instead of distressing the edges of these, I decided to draw around the edges with a grey journaling pen. The grey is good because it's not as harsh as the black, and it looks quite dark when you first use it, but when it dries lighter. So you just have this small outline that makes those little hearts stand out without being overpowering in the black. So just getting my heart stuck on now. I'm using my glue gun again because of the super bumpy surface I'm sticking them onto. I think the hot glue is probably best in this situation. So they're all now stuck on. I'm going ahead with the little hearts now, and I was just a bit worried about the glue gun burning myself because it's such a small area. I am just using foam pads to stick those down instead. And that's working okay. I'm just making sure that where the foam pad attaches to is an area like a kind of like on the side where the fold goes in. So it's sticking to almost a flat surface rather than on top of. So they're slightly angled, the hearts, by doing that. But it's working okay. They look good. So I've just added a few splatters of Shimmer's paint in pink to the top left and the bottom right corners. And now I'm just writing in my journaling, and actually I did decide to go for a black pen this time because I was writing on the darker colour and I wanted the writing to show up. So I've just written in one of the hearts, and the other one I'm just writing the date. And that is me done. So I absolutely love this layout. It turned out so well. I love a rosette. So this is great, and I love the written border around the outside. I think it's awesome. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope it inspired you to use the Besties, the acrylics, and the alphabet stickers as well. Thank you so much for joining me. That was Niki Rowland for Bella Boulevard.